am trying to have a look. I want Lee and Nicholas to be my rubber ducks because I am fighting against an MR that I opened to add a new GraphQL mutation to support setting the time estimate on issuables, which is currently missing, and I need that to create the UI to set the time estimate. And there's a little problem with work items because they are technically issuables like issues and merge requests, but they don't currently support the time estimate. At
Estimates,
least,
right?
at, well, technically speaking, they do.
Because they've got an issue ID, right?
Exactly. And they also have the field because an issue and an MR are a work item, and that's part of the problem that I'll show you later. And the missing bit is that the work item type as GraphQL type, it doesn't expose the time estimate because I think the reason is that not all work items types will be able to support time tracking features and the time estimate because tests and other work item types, I don't know if they will ever support time tracking.
Okay.
So basically the problem is, let me share my screen. So I tried to generalize the mutation like I did with the create mutation for the time logs, taking advantage of update service for issues and merge requests because they take care of creating all the system nodes and all of that. It's already handled by those services. So basically, inside the mutation, I am checking whether the issuable is an issue or a merge request. And based on that, I'm calling the write service, update service. And to support passing both global unique IDs for merge requests and issuables, we have to use the global ID type of issuable because that's the interface for both the issues and Mars. Then when we have to fetch the object based on that ID, I am passing issue and merge request as expected type. Initially, I also supported work items, but I removed that because of the problem that I told you before. They don't have the time estimate field on the type. So even if we can call the mutation, we can't get the time estimate out of the object. And this way, using I don't really know if it is the global ID type of issuable or this object from ID that's filtering epics. Because for epics, it works fine. They don't support time tracking, and I do get the expected error message from from calling the GraphQL mutation because it's giving me the message that I don't remember what was it. Let me check.
I think an epic is an issuable, so I don't think it would be the argument type that would be kind of.
Yeah, that's my reasoning too, because issuables and specs, test cases, work items, they're all issuables. So I guess this is the object from ID is the one making sure that the ID provided is the complies the expected type. And when I provide an epic, this is giving me the error that is not a valid ID for the given type. The thing is that work items can be either issues or merge requests. And
work items can be merge requests.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Oh, and I didn't know that.
Oh, well, no, sorry, not that. Issues can be work items, and work items are basically derived from issues.
Yes.
Okay. And the problem is that I have to support issues, but I don't have to support work items.
Yeah, it's a bit of a confusing one because of where work items is at the moment. It's kind of still in the development phase, the infancy, whatever you want to call it. Like, I don't know whether an incident is technically a work item or if an incident is still an issue or
incidents at the moment are issues.
But I'm not sure whether an incident even has like all the time tracking functionality.
They do because
they do. Okay.
Incidents are directly derived from issues.
Okay, fair
enough. They have all the same properties.
But some of the other stuff going on where they're creating like OKRs is going to be a work item type.
Exactly, because
I guess that almost certainly wouldn't have time tracking against it, so to speak.
Exactly, that's exactly what I thought, because I thought, okay, work items don't have the time estimate field exposed on the GraphQL type. Technically, we could expose it because at the moment they're basically only issues, but it's not the right thing to do because work items, not all work items will have that field.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? Because it feels like we probably need to ban's not the word I'm looking for, but prevent it, disallow it until such a point that somebody can specifically add logic and code that sort of says, right,
exactly,
per work item type, you can configure like incidents is probably a bad example there, but like tasks can have estimates and spend time.
Yeah.
OKRs can't have estimates and spend time. Like somebody needs to go and kind of build that hierarchy, that functionality, that kind of configurability before, like for now, I guess we just need to go with issues and issues only, even though that's a bit of a vague term.
Yeah, exactly. So we could actually maybe do that, but because, for example, I know I tried it before that the specs creating the work item and passing it to the GraphQL mutation, the issuable is recognized as an issue. So this is passing. And it is also recognized as a work item. For example, if I do this, let me fix it. Work item and is a work item. So for work items, both of these will be true.
Right.
I wonder if for issues, this will also be the case, because if for issues is not the case, I mean, work item will be nil. It will be false.
Yeah, it looks like you got breakpoint in there, haven't you? So
yeah, I actually thought about this a few minutes before starting the call. So
yeah, so why don't you fire it up? Have you got a test that probes this that you're using to?
Oh yes. So awesome. I already know that work items are issues. So let me just try to see if issues are also treated as
Yeah,
work.
awesome. My suspicion or concern is they probably are, but we'll see. We'll see.
That's my suspicion too, but I hope not.
I'm hoping there's like a type somewhere that we can get at that will be, like task, incident, issue, OKR, etc. That we can just have a fairly finite list of hard coded supported options for now.
I hope so. Okay. Oh, let me remove another breakpoint that I. Okay. So issuable is an issue. So next. So issue, we have the issue, work item. Oh, it's not a work item.
Okay.
So, okay, we can technically fix this by making sure that if it's an issue and not a work item. And just to make sure, I'm also adding that to the merge request. And otherwise, this will return an invalid issuable type error. That's not the same error that I'm getting from object from ID. Should we make it the same so that I can use a shared example?
I guess it would be handy. Remind me what was the error that you were getting from Find by ID?
Let me check because I don't
Sort of
remember.
saying that it can't cast or something like that.
Yeah, that should be. Is not a valid ID for. That's only part of the error. Let me do this. Actually, let's remove some binding.pry because I set to many. Okay. Oh, this binding.pry.
So I just saw you got an EE one there.
Yeah.
Is that because epics have time estimates and they're in EE, or they don't have time estimates?
They don't. So I'm
But
making
you still need a test in. Oh God, that's annoying, isn't it? Having to have an EE test just to make sure something doesn't work in EE.
Yeah. Well, at least if we will ever support time estimate on epics, we will get an error.
Well, yeah. I had a feeling that epics might have been in core now, or that you could like have a single level epic or something. But maybe I've got confused.
You mean on the free tier?
Yeah.
No, epics on the
No.
no. That's my hope, but it will never happen. How do I get the error? Here. Yeah, the resource that you're attempting to access does not exist, or you don't have permission to perform this. No, this is the other error. Basically, the ID is not a valid ID for issue or merge request. Yeah, we could. Yeah, we could tweak this, repeat this message, returning it manually. This would be the error, but we would have it this way, and it wouldn't really make sense because the global ID of work item is not a valid ID for issue, merge request, or work item. So that wouldn't really make sense. What if we do? Oh no. This would be the right error. You're still there. I can't hear you. Oh, you muted yourself?
No, I'm unplugged my microphone because it keeps just giving up on me for some reason.
Oh, so I wasn't alone.
No, I was talking. Yeah, that's exactly what I don't know when it stopped working with my microphone, but that's what I was suggesting you should say. Exactly what it says before. Like it's not an issue. It's not merge request.
Yeah, that's right. So the only thing is this would be I need how can we format strings in Ruby? I don't remember.
I guess you need double quote. So
Because this is translated.
it is. I think you can still. I think that's still okay. You might have to look elsewhere, but yeah, exactly. You need just double quotes rather than single.
Oh, come on. And this would be issuable ID. Let's see if this is done somewhere else. Huh. Format. I think this is the way to go.
So what would that do differently? Don't really know, to be honest.
Let me change the format. That's one example. This is another example doing the same but slightly different. Maybe easier.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit more familiar with that.
Yeah, I already saw this one too. So this would be with percent, not the hash. And issue ID. Issue ID. So now, if everything goes smoothly, is it safe to quit a debug session on the tests using Control C?
I regularly do it, so I'm not aware of any issues.
Okay, because I wondered yesterday if that would leave the database in a kind of random state.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think it. I don't know what kind of weird and wonderful rollback I guess if you never commit a transaction, it doesn't actually need to be rolled back as such. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So, oh, come on, I forgot to remove the binding. Okay. How many binding.pry did I put there? Where is it? 35. Oh no, that's on the.
What's it complaining about?
that's not giving it the error. And I have a feeling. That's for the work item, yeah. Let's remove everything apart from that. No, that's giving a totally different error. The resource that you're attempting to access does not exist, or you don't have permission. Why? Too many open files. So that's Visual does not support when the user is a guest member of the namespace.
Well, yeah, that would be correct, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I want. Let me. Did I mess up the specs? They're working for the Epic. When the user is a guest member of the namespace, yeah, this should be. Why the? Oh, because on the Epic, that's returning the other error, even before checking the access level, because you don't even have the issuable yet.
Sure.
Finger crossed.
Down to 1.
Yeah. This is still not returning the error. So if it's an issue yeah, that's true.
So what's it saying? Expected nil.present to be true for you, but got false.
Yeah, that's not returning the error. So.
Oh, so errors is nil, and it's
Yeah, exactly. This is false, so this shouldn't go inside here. Okay. This is false. I am returning errors. And it failed.
Is there any code below if you just scroll down a teeny tiny little bit? No.
No.
So because of the weird way that Ruby obviously returns the last line of code, you just have to be careful that you haven't got any. Can you show me the assertion?
Yeah. Let me.
I would be tempted to put a binding pry actually in the spec rather than the, and we can actually have a look at the GraphQL response and try and figure out why it's being a pain.
Yeah, that's actually what I will try, because This, as always, this would have been an easy one. Should have been.
Aren't they always? I've got another interesting one to talk to you about briefly afterwards, although just to blow your mind, and I'm going to use your Google Foo skills potentially as well.
Yeah, no problems. Let me find the. Come on, why I can't find the right place? Oh God, I can't find. Here it is. This one. So this should be the resource. You're attempting. This is passing. This is passing. And this. Yeah, GraphQL errors is nil.
Right, is this because it probably isn't? I always get confused with GraphQL. No, I don't think it. No, that should work. Because there's two types of errors. I think there's when something explodes and raises an error,
Yeah.
versus when there's an error in the actual response. And is this definitely the right one, if that makes sense?
Yes, I'm gonna try to. Now, this is just an error message. So this is a string.
So can you just have a look at you probably looked at this already, but I missed it. Can you look at the actual response?
I can indeed, but the response is quite big.
Okay, so can you try GraphQL underscore data? I can't remember exactly what it is we want, but something.
Yes. Oh, we do have the stream data.
If you use Q, I think it'll bail out of this, I think.
Oh, we do have it. Inside here on the response, I do have the data, and I see that the client invitation ID errors, and there's the array. So I guess that's exactly what you meant.
Yeah, I think so.
So I wonder, should I have a look at how object from ID is defined and how it is raising?
I'm not sure if I'd be too fussed about that, maybe, but I would probably let's look at another what I worked on recently.
Oh, let me change position.
Just think, yeah. Yeah, so I've done a mutation recently,
Yeah.
where I check a feature flag and I actually raise an error if the
Okay.
feature flag is disabled. So I think we have two ways of returning. We can either like sort of, I guess it depends how much of a problem, yeah, how big of a problem is this? But generally, it looks like we actually raise an error. I don't know. I don't know. That's where I think you have to have a look at more often than not. Would we raise? I think we would raise an error for this. So, um, if you do if you search grep, whatever you're grepping for at the moment, if you raise.star GraphQL, have a look at a couple of these.
Oh, argument error.
Yeah, so the one that I'm using is resource not available. So you could tweak your grep if you want to specifically try and find a resource not available one. But
Is it resource not available or argument error? Because in this case, that's a problem with the argument.
It's both, I guess. The resource isn't available to be operated on in the way you want to operate on it, but it's because the argument you've provided is valid, but it's not valid for what you're trying to do to it, if that makes sense. So it's not like you've put a word in or a number in where it's expecting a GID, but it's open to interpretation. I think you're well enough versed in this to know that you have a poke around in the code base, right, and see which one's most popular.
Yeah, I could. Well, first, let's see if this works, and then I could actually have a look at how object from ID is implemented to make sure.
Sounds good.
So we can keep the translation. And let's remove let's keep the bindings.
Just going to disappear for a couple of seconds. I'll be right back.
So this is working now, which is perfect. and I had a look at object from ID, and that's using the argument error.
Cool. Perfect.
So now I wonder if I should also change this other error that I'm returning to use to raise an exception instead of returning errors directly.
What was that? Sorry.
I wonder because I also am checking if the provided time estimate string is a valid time estimate, a valid time expression, and I'm returning an error if that's not the case. And I wonder if I should change this one to a raise instead of returning the error directly.
You know what I'm going to do? GraphQL development guidelines. I'm going to see if we've actually got something documented to suggest which.
You are absolutely right. And in the meantime, I'm going to change it.
Error. Error handling. Resolvers may raise errors which are converted. Let me send you this link as well while I talk. Put it in parent. So yeah, resolvers may raise errors which are converted to top-level errors. One special case is permission errors. In the REST API, we return a 404 for any resources the user doesn't have permission to access. The equivalent behavior in GraphQL is for us to return null for all absent or unauthorized resources. Query resolvers should not raise errors for unauthorized resources.
Okay.
The rationale for this is that clients must not be able to distinguish between the absence of a record and the presence of a record that they do not have access to. In most cases, you don't need to worry about this. If you need to do something more custom, if you encounter an object, I'm only really talking about
may raise errors.
It's only really talking about permissions errors, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think that the key is in the first sentence. That resolver may raise errors. So I think that's fine either way.
Although this isn't a resolver, is it? So
yeah, you're right. Mutations.
Errors in mutations is another section. So we encourage following the practice of errors as data for mutations, which distinguishes errors by who they are relevant to. Or mutation. Oh, you've probably got it. You've got it on the screen. So I'll let you have an errors field. This should be populated on failure, maybe populated on success. Consider who needs to see the error, the user or the developer. Clients should always request the errors field when performing mutations. Errors may be reported to user either root errors, top level, or root.data.mutation name.errors. The location depends on what kind of error it is and what information it holds. Consider an example. Mutation 2. So two fields, errors and thing. So what's relevant to the user? You cannot touch the thing. What's irrelevant? Argument error. Okay. Does that help you to make a decision?
No?
I don't really know what it means by irrelevant to the user.
I think we should ask someone from the backend team to tweak this documentation and say,
I think I might understand it. By user, I mean, like again, it depends on the context. They're thinking about if GraphQL is consumed by the front end, the user is the user that's like
Yeah.
on the GitHub website. So yeah, if you've provided like a number instead of a GraphQL ID, that's not really something we should be showing the user. That's something the developer should be conscious of. If
Yeah.
if there's something like the record has been deleted, or you can't change the status because it's locked, or there's something that we want to show the user, then that should be that. So in
Yeah.
the, but then that changes if you then think about the user being someone using GraphQL Explorer and executing the GraphQL query manually. So I think this documentation definitely needs tweaking.
Yeah, but I also think that I understand from what I see is that uh, errors that are irrelevant to the users are not returning the data field with the mutation name, with the thing and the errors inside. There, for developers, that's only returning the errors array.
Yeah.
While from for failures relevant to the user, we want to return the data field with the issue, the mutation name and the thing and the errors alongside it. So I think that, well, not, I don't think, I am sure that this is a failure relevant to the user, because that message is presented to the user on the, at least on the UI to create a time tracking, time entry. The data error is shown to the user. So this failure is definitely relevant to the user.
But then technically, you would never let them execute this against a work item, right? So it's not relevant to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
user
yeah.
because the
No,
user would never.
yeah, I'm the with the work item problem that's solved, and that's definitely, we need to raise that error.
Right. Okay. Sorry. Which one are we talking about now?
I was referring to the one giving the user the message that basically you provided a time string that's not formatted correctly.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Marco. Yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely something that we want to return to the. Yeah. Spot on.
Yeah. Okay. So final try. All fingers crossed. And let me check that I don't have any other binding.pry somewhere. Here it is, one. Okay. This is good. This is good. 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 Okay. Crossed.
I'm multitasking just a little bit. So shout if you.
Yeah. Don't worry. Yes. Yeah. Promising. Yes, that worked. Let's also make sure that the epics are still technically not working. Okay.
So when's it returning this?
That's a different error.
Is it because you're trying to use shared
Yeah,
examples for two different?
yeah. The example is the same for work items and epics, and when the user is a guest member of the namespace, that's not returning a top level access error for the epic. That's returning the. Why is it not returning a top level access error? This is never ending. Because I do have this one. Authorize, no, the enable. Only if the user has reporter access to the issuable, it should be authorized.
So it makes sense that guest wouldn't.
Oh, actually, yes. The problem is that in order to perform this, we have to get the issuable first.
Yeah.
And finding the issuable will use the find object.
Yeah.
Which will return the ID is not a valid ID for the issue or merge request.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a different behavior. Oh, so that's going to raise the error before the authorization can be checked. So that's not a top level access error. But why is it? Come on. So for the epic, this is returning is not a valid ID. Oh, yeah, that's exactly the problem. So, this is this is a dog eating its own tail. Because for the epic, the authorized find will fail because the epic is not an issue or a merge request.
Yeah.
So it will raise the GID is not a valid ID for issue or merge request. For a work item,
yeah,
this is not going to raise the error, but it's raising the unauthorized error when trying to do the authorized, basically checking the authorization. I wonder why.
What? I didn't quite follow that. So you're saying when it's an epic?
When it's an epic,
Yeah.
authorized find will call object from ID.
Yeah.
Epic is not on the one
right.
of the.
So this fails. But
this will fail.
But if it's a work item, this bit passes, but then the next bit, the authorized find bit, fails.
Yeah.
So authorized find is returning a slightly different shaped error to find object.
Yes.
Okay.
So
and one's top level and one isn't. Is that the problem? Or?
But the thing that doesn't make sense to me is that the same thing should apply when the user is anonymous.
Is this the guest the same issue as when you're a guest?
Yeah, being a guest and being an anonymous user shouldn't be different. They both should raise a top level access error.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
So I wonder if my specs are messed up. Now, current user is nil. So the current user here is and we are anonymous. When we are not anonymous, this is let's try to set time.
I have to jump soonish.
Yeah, don't worry.
I feel like you've made a little progress, but it is frustrating when you have ones that are, I don't know, more. What's the word I'm looking for? not life challenges, but like mentally challenging rather than code challenging.
Yeah, because this doesn't really make any sense. So now I should be the user.
Oh, that's a nice tip from Nicholas there about being able to execute both EE and non-EE specs in one foul swoop. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Oh, I will check that later.
Don't know if there's a nice way of me sharing it in the.
So this is raising. What is this raising?
Thanks for sharing.
Okay, I think I got it, but I can explain why it's failing, but I don't know how to solve it.
Okay, go on.
So when we are using an epic, the authorized find will first try to get the object from the ID.
Yep.
This will fail because the type isn't supported.
Yep.
And we raise that kind of error. So it won't raise a top level access error. When
I guess I'm interested to know why. Yeah, that makes sense because we want to return that to the user, right? So that's why we don't raise a top level error. We raise, yeah. Is that fair to say?
well, no, that's a top level error because it is getting returned on the errors by itself. So the kind of errors not visible to the user when using the UI, for example, but it's still visible if you use the GraphQL Explorer.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me, if I'm honest. I would have said if object from ID fails, I would expect not a top level error because I would want the user to see that we failed to get the object from the ID. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe again, it's my not quite fully understanding this whole definition of, what a user should see versus shouldn't see. But
yeah, but if we remove that and we only talk about errors,
yeah.
So with the epic, the first thing it does is using object from ID. The epic is not an expected type, so that's raising the error before checking the authorization.
Yep.
For work items, we do pass the object from ID.
Yeah.
But we fail the authorization.
Yeah.
So we're getting two different messages.
Yeah, it makes sense.
The problem is that I don't know how to differentiate between them in the tests.
So what are the two tests that you've got that are returning different and yeah, why is it a challenge?
I mean, we could change this to return the authorization error, but it wouldn't make sense having that message here at this very point because we are returning another error message only because of this weird situation.
Can you go back to the test? Because I don't really understand why it's causing a problem. Do you know what I mean? Like we know what's going to happen in all of these scenarios.
Yeah, the problem is that, let me go to the shared examples. Okay, so when the user is anonymous,
yeah,
this is returning an access error for both epics and work items.
right. And is an access, not that it really matters, but is an access error top level or lower?
Oh yeah, that's a top level access error.
Okay, fine. Yeah,
So
fine.
that's return with a raise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
By raising exception. When the user is a guest member of the namespace, for epics, this will return a top level error with, so will the backend will throw an exception saying that the ID provided is not one of the supported ones.
Yeah.
With work items, this instead will return an access error because we will find the object, because technically work item is supported because it's an issue, but it will fail the authorization check, and that will raise another top level error, which is a top level access error.
Okay, gotcha. So there's actually,
Sorry.
that's
Okay.
so there's actually two different for an epic. The problem is that you haven't got access. For a work item, the problem is that work items aren't valid as.
Yeah, the problem is related to the initial one that we talked about. That's work items are.
So actually, I think the problem is that your test is almost failing for two reasons, right? Because it's failing because it's not valid, but if it was valid, it would fail because you've not got access. So actually, neither of them are particularly right or wrong, are they? Like, or they're both right, if that makes sense. Like,
they are technically both right, because depending on the order, one of the two will be raised.
yeah,
That's just a matter of which one is getting raised first.
yes, exactly. I just think you just need to use different a different matcher, if that makes sense. Like,
I think the easiest way would be to write a specific spec for
exactly
the work item and let a comment saying what the problem is and why that's the way it's done.
And also that going forward we expect work items to be some work items to actually support this as well.
Yeah, in the long run, the specs for the work item should either be specific for the work item type or work in general, if every work item type will support time tracking. So okay, yeah, this will be just a matter of copy and pasting the specs and tweaking that message. Yeah.
Yep, pretty much.
This is frustrating. My computer is dying.
Oh.
My computer is dying. Let me run the specs while I go get the charger. run the specs. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Marco. Can I pick your brain for 2 seconds before I disappear?
Oh, don't worry. This is working, so I'm done. I'm gonna leave a comment and finish the MR later. So,
Awesome. It's just a bit like yesterday where I found 2 random issues. It's funny, like with I don't know, with like my team now using GitLab issues, how they're picking up on things that I think people that are using this every day, how are they not? I don't know. But let me get GDK up, and I'll just show you a quick example if I can recreate this one today. Chances, do you reckon? Sure.
Oh gosh, I just noticed the timing. We've been for more than an hour.
Exactly, but fortunately, I was multitasking. Just going to try GDK kill. If it doesn't come back to life, never mind. The long and the short of it is, you could try recreating it while I'm trying to recreate at the same time, if you like. If you use what I would call like the Markdown editor, if that's the right term, like just posting a comment on an issue, for example,
yes.
and you put like a couple of lines of text in, so like hello, and then maybe 2 carriage returns and like a couple of words or whatever.
Yeah, let me refresh my GDK because I had it working for the past 2 days and it's
probably cursed mine by saying how well it was working yesterday, but essentially it's when you use the like bold and italic etc with multiple lines, it doesn't seem to work, and it just seems like something that
for example, if you have a new line in there.
Yeah, basically. Just seems like pretty standard stuff. And I couldn't find an open issue for it. So I'm hoping your Google Foo skills will maybe exceed mine, and you'll be able to look at that testing that I've been doing.
Honestly, I'm not really sure my Google Foo is better than yours, but we can try.
So are you seeing my screen at the moment? Yeah.
Yes.
So this should all be bold, highlight, bold, preview. It's not.
Oh.
So I've got to go bold, 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 and then that works. But it just seems to me like the button should work.
And do you think the button should work, or having new lines should work?
Good question. I'm open, but I want to run now. But what would be awesome is if you don't mind just quickly having a search through the issue list to see if you think you can find an existing issue. I couldn't, but it seemed like something that, I was searching for words like markdown and multi-line and bold and just struggling to find anything. But yeah, if you wouldn't mind having a quick poke.
I will try to have a look.
Let me know if you find anything. But awesome.
Well, thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks on your vacation for still working on MRs, and hopefully we'll be looking at the time tracking report again in the next week or two. So
yes, definitely.
Take it easy. Thanks, Marco. Thanks, Nicholas.
Thanks, Nicholas.
Even though I wasn't really saying anything.
Just you're still a rubber duck, so it's all good. Take care. Yeah.